Adrian Peterson wasn't even in the building, and then he ends up carrying it, 28 times? Is that what he carried it?
I
28
think it was
times?
26.
26
yeah.
times, and then a couple balls he caught for, about 166 total yards?
Yep.
I mean, he was like the guy. He carried the load for us. It just out of nowhere. It's funny how that just suddenly developed. We were
Right.
told Rob Kelly was going to be the guy.
Well, we were told Rob Kelly was going to be the guy. That lasted about to Adrian Peterson's workout. And then they just didn't tell us for a week that that's what had happened. I think in a way this was a long time coming, but in a way, obviously, it wasn't. In the way it was a long time coming was this was the plan with Darius Geis. So the plan all offseason has been to have a bell cow back and to ride that back and use this offensive line that they've built over the past couple of years to get a power back and really establish the run and power down teams' throats, and both sides work together, right? The defense is allowed to stay fresh because they're not on the field because you've got, at halftime, the play discrepancy was I think more than double. It wound up being 70-something to 50-something. So by running the ball, your defense is more effective. You control the clock. The game is shorter. There's a lot of benefits. It's just the who changed. And the fact that it was Adrian Peterson, who was not here 2 weeks ago, and he has already earned the trust of this coaching staff is pretty remarkable. But then again, as a football player, put all the other stuff aside, and there's some other stuff with Adrian Peterson, obviously, but as a football player, remarkable is what he has been his entire career, basically.
Well, Chris Thompson was spectacular yesterday, too. 11 touches, 128 all-purpose yards, and a touchdown. He had a different level of burst than anybody on the field for both teams. Is 12 to 15 touches, is that the sweet spot for Jay Gruden as far as touches go for Thompson going forward?
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what it's been for a while now. And it's just a matter of figuring out how to best utilize him in certain situations and knowing that some of those touches are not going to be planned. Some of those touches are going to be checkdowns. I mean, I'm actually watching, or right before I came on with you guys, was rewatching the condensed version of the game on Game Pass last night. So trying to blitz through it real quick. And think of that play in the first half where Alex Smith just has nowhere else to go, and he flips it to Chris, and it's 3rd and 7, and Chris just makes it happen. He somehow gets 9 yards. And he just has an innate ability to know where the sticks are. And there was even one play that led to the 4th and 1 conversion where it took them nearly taking his head off to get him stop short of the first down marker on a 3rd down. He just is so good at knowing exactly where he needs to get to and figuring out a way to somehow get there. And so it's not just that he's got these 12 to 15 touches. It feels like he has 12 to 15 touches that matter. I didn't wind up going back and counting, but he had to have 6 or 7 first downs on his own last night, which is insane for a guy who is technically speaking a role player.
Real quick, I know Cakes has a question, but in terms of the discrepancy in the first downs, I haven't seen a game in a long time where it was 30-5, Craig.
Yeah.
Probably similar, but I wasn't watching that as much. But 30-5 is outrageous in an NFL game.
Yeah, and I feel like there were large stretches of that game where the Redskins had more first downs than the Cardinals had run plays.
Right.
It was wild. And look, both or really kind of all 4 units talked about it. David Johnson talked about how he felt like he lost them the game because they couldn't move the chains, and that is at the end of the day on him. The Cardinals defense was gassed. And then on the other side, obviously the field and Foster talked about how they felt fresh the entire game because the offense did a great job of staying on the field, allowing them to rest, and then all they had to do was go plays, and they were so fresh that they were able to be sharp and run right back off the field again.
Craig, getting back to Thompson for just a second, and this seems almost too simple, but is part of his effectiveness just that, and this was mentioned during the broadcast at one point yesterday, that he's so small and compact that he just kind of gets lost back there sometimes behind the offensive lineman, and when guys are shifting, that he just kind of almost disappears, and it's hard for the defense to find him and pair it with his lightning quickness, and it's a deadly combo.
Right. I think there's probably something to that, but it's also kind of a skill in a weird way, and not like he's short. That's not his skill. He has a great sense of timing. And so, for instance, I think it was 3rd and 7 play that I just referenced where Smith winds up flipping it kind of like option pitch style forward to him. He steps up, looks for a blitzer to pick up. There's nobody home, and he just turns around. And so that split second of awareness of like, okay, I'm supposed to technically be blocking here, but I don't have anybody to block. So it's important to remember, and this was one of the very simple but important things I learned when I used to watch tape with Cooley, is there's only 5 receivers on every play. So every receiver, whether it's a tight end, a back that you put in as a blocker, you lose 20% of your eligible receivers. So you went from having 80% to 100%, and all of a sudden that 100% came quickly and in space. And that's the difference, is if you become a receiver and make that mental flip from blocking a receiver quickly, you're going to have a lot more space to work quick. Miss and cover a ton of ground quickly. That matters a lot, and Chris Thompson is exceptional at that. So yeah, occasionally he might get lost and a linebacker might lose vision on him or something like that. But he also, I think, has a great sense of when it's time to go, and just is able to utilize that. And it's good to see in his first game back since breaking his leg last year that he still has that timing.